Have you ever been driving down the highway and suddenly found yourself behind a brand new truck that costs more than most people's houses? You know the one I'm talking about. The gleaming monster with chrome everything, leather seats that probably cost more than your monthly rent, and a payment that would make your mortgage broker weep. The person driving it probably makes less money than you do. My name is Adam, MBA, 30 years of real financial experience. And if you've ever wondered how your neighbor can afford that $70,000 pickup truck while complaining about grocery prices, this video is for you. The average new car payment in America has crossed into territory that would have been considered absolutely insane just a decade ago. We're talking about monthly payments that exceed what many people pay for rent. And yet, millions of Americans are signing on the dotted line every single month. The average new car payment has climbed to over $700 per month. $700! That's not for a luxury vehicle, that's the average. But it gets worse when you look at trucks and SUVs. These payments routinely exceed $900 per month, and it's not uncommon to see payments over $1,200. We're talking about payments that total more than $80,000 over the life of the loan, and that's before you factor in insurance, maintenance, and fuel costs. The median household income has increased, sure, but nowhere near enough to justify these payment amounts using any traditional financial wisdom. Let's talk about loan terms. Remember when a car loan was 3 years, maybe 4 if you really stretched it? Those days are as dead as the flip phone. Today's car loans routinely stretch 6, 7, or 8 years into the future. Some lenders are even offering 10-year car loans, which sounds like something from a financial horror movie. If you spread that $60,000 truck payment over 8 years instead of 4, the monthly payment drops significantly. Suddenly, that truck becomes manageable at $900 over 8 years. The monthly number looks reasonable, which is exactly what the buyer focuses on, but they're not thinking about the total amount they'll pay. By extending the loan term, they're dramatically increasing the total amount they'll pay. That $900 payment over 8 years adds up to over $86,000 compared to $72,000 with a 4-year loan. Even worse, they'll be making payments on that truck long after it's worth a fraction of what they paid for it. Cars depreciate rapidly, especially in the first few years. By year 5 or 6 of that 8-year loan, they'll owe significantly more than the vehicle is worth. They'll be trapped in what's called negative equity. They'll be unable to sell or trade the vehicle without writing a check to cover the difference. Trapped, that's the only word for it. The second major factor is the rise of 0% financing. Walk into any dealership and you'll see signs advertising 0% APR for qualified buyers. Sounds amazing, right? Here's the thing about those 0% offers that dealers definitely don't want you to understand. They're not actually free money. The cost of that financing is built into the price of the vehicle. You're either paying full price for the car and getting 0% financing, or you're getting a discount on the car and paying market rate interest, but you're not getting both. Then there's the trade-in game. Someone buys a new car with a 6 or 7-year loan. After 3 or 4 years, they're tired of the car, but they still owe more than it's worth. So what do? They roll that negative equity into a new loan for an even more expensive vehicle. This creates a cycle where people are constantly paying for cars they no longer own. It's like a financial hamster wheel, where the faster you run, the further behind you get. The dealers love this arrangement because it creates customers for life. But perhaps the most concerning trend is how normalized these extreme car payments have become. People who would never dream of spending $1,200 a month on anything else somehow convince themselves it's reasonable for transportation. Think about it this way. If someone told you they were spending $1,200 on coffee, you'd probably stage an intervention. But somehow, when it's a car payment, we just nod and say, well, you need reliable transportation. This normalization didn't happen by accident. It's the result of decades of marketing that has convinced Americans that their vehicle is an extension of their identity. Your truck isn't just transportation, it's a statement about who you are. That commercial showing the rugged truck climbing mountains isn't selling you transportation, it's selling you the fantasy that you're the kind of person who climbs mountains. When you're not just buying a truck, but buying into an identity, suddenly that $900 payment feels like an investment in yourself rather than a financial mistake. Many people are restructuring their entire financial lives around their car payment. They're treating it like a mortgage payment and adjusting everything else accordingly. I've seen people move to smaller apartments or stay with roommates longer just so they can afford their dream truck payment. They'll eat ramen noodles for lunch every day while driving to work in a vehicle that costs more than some people's houses. Some people are taking on second jobs specifically to cover their vehicle expenses. They'll drive for rideshare companies or deliver food on weekends, using their expensive truck to generate income needed to pay for that same expensive truck. Others are dipping into retirement accounts or taking loans against their 401k to make down payments. They're borrowing from their future selves to fund their current transportation fantasies. Then there's the credit card shuffle, people putting maintenance, repairs, insurance, and fuel costs on credit cards to free up cash for their monthly car payment. They're using high-interest debt to subsidize their transportation costs. It's like using a blowtorch to light a cigarette. Technically, it works, but it's probably not the smartest approach. The most concerning trend is people taking out home equity loans to cover down payments on vehicles. They're leveraging their homes to buy cars, which fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of both assets. Your house should be building wealth over time. Your car should be getting you from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. When you use your house to fund your car addiction, you've got the equation completely backwards. Many of the people making these extreme sacrifices aren't just doing it for one vehicle. The average American household now owns more cars than licensed drivers. Dad has his work truck, mom has her SUV for the kids, and maybe there's a third vehicle for the teenager. Suddenly, we're talking about combined car payments that exceed what most people pay for housing. These families have essentially created their own personal auto financing companies, except instead of making money, they're hemorrhaging it every month. And then there's the insurance component that most people completely underestimate. Insuring a $60,000 truck costs significantly more than insuring a $20,000 sedan. Add in comprehensive coverage, collision coverage, gap insurance, and all the other protections recommended for expensive vehicles, and you're looking at insurance premiums that can easily exceed $200 per month. Many people focus so intently on negotiating the monthly payment that they completely forget to factor in the ongoing insurance costs until they're sitting in the insurance agent's office getting a reality check. The maintenance costs present another surprise. A simple brake job on a modern truck can easily cost $800 to $1,200. Transmission problems can run $5,000 or more. Many people making extreme car payments have zero emergency funds set aside for these inevitable repairs, which means they'll likely end up putting major maintenance on credit cards. This creates a vicious cycle where the car payment that was supposed to be manageable becomes the catalyst for a debt spiral that can take years to escape. You'll see people with pristine $70,000 trucks sitting in their driveways while they frantically search their couch cushions for gas money. The fuel costs alone for these massive vehicles can approach what people used to pay for entire car payments just a decade ago. A truck that gets 15 miles per gallon with gas at $4 a gallon, you're looking at fuel costs that easily exceed $400 per month. Let's take a typical scenario and run the real numbers. Someone buys a $55,000 truck with a 7-year loan at 6% interest. Their monthly payment works out to about $800. Over the life of that loan, they'll pay approximately $67,000 total. Add insurance at $250 a month, that's another $21,000 over 7 years. Factor in fuel costs of $350 monthly, another $29,000. Maintenance and repairs over 7 years will easily run another $15,000. When you add it all up, this person will spend over $130,000 on transportation over 7 years. At the end of those 7 years, they'll own a vehicle that's worth maybe $15,000 if they're lucky. They've essentially paid $130,000 for the privilege of driving a $15,000 truck. That's not transportation financing, that's wealth destruction with cup holders and heated seats. The most depressing part of the equation is what that same money could have accomplished if invested instead. If someone took that $800 monthly payment and invested it in a simple index fund earning 8% annually, they'd have over $70,000 after 7 years. Not only would they have avoided the financial burden of the truck, they would have actually built wealth instead of destroying it. But here's the psychological trap that makes this cycle so hard to break. Once someone commits to these extreme car payments, they develop what I call automotive Stockholm syndrome. The truck isn't just transportation anymore. It's a reflection of their identity, their hard work, their success. The idea of driving something cheaper feels like admitting failure. When someone suggests they could save hundreds of dollars monthly by driving a reliable used car, they don't hear a practical financial strategy. They hear an attack on their self-worth. They'll defend their car payment with the same passion they defend their family, even though that car payment might be preventing them from actually providing for their family's future. Walk into any dealership, and you'll notice they don't spend much time talking about total cost of ownership or opportunity cost. Instead, they focus on monthly payments, immediate gratification, and social status. Worried about the payment being too high? Let's extend the term. Concerned about reliability? Here's an extended warranty you can finance. Nervous about depreciation? Don't worry, you'll probably trade it in anyway. So there you have it. The mystery of how people are affording these insane car payments isn't really a mystery at all. It's a carefully orchestrated system of extended loan terms, emotional manipulation, and financial gymnastics. People aren't actually affording these payments in any meaningful sense. They're just kicking the financial can down the road while convincing themselves they deserve that shiny truck. The next time you see someone driving a vehicle that costs more than your annual salary, remember, they're probably eating cereal for dinner to afford it. And maybe, just maybe, that reliable used car in your driveway isn't looking so bad after all, because the person driving the older car is quietly building wealth. If this video helped you see car payments and your own financial decisions differently, I want you to do one thing right now. Calculate the true total cost of your next vehicle, not just the monthly payment. Include insurance, fuel over the life of the loan. Then compare that number to what it would grow to if you invested it instead. Subscribe to Golden Endings for new videos every week on personal finance, wealth building, and the money decisions that can change your financial life forever. Drop a comment below telling me, what is your current car situation? Are you in the trap right now? Or have you found a smarter way to handle transportation? I read every single comment. See you next week.